Hi, my name is Teresa Jones. My review of literature is on teaching reading comprehension to nonverbal students with autistic spectrum disorder, or ASD. Introduction. This review of literature will discuss the best practices for teaching reading comprehension to students with ASD and how to hurdle some of the roadblocks which might impede these endeavors. Possible deficits impeding comprehension. The first possible deficit is called theory of mind. This is the ability to understand others' point of view, which, as we all know, this is a struggle for students on the spectrum. The second possible deficit is central coherence. This is the ability to bring details together into a whole concept or idea. And third, executive functioning. This is the process of organizing, planning, and monitoring progress when presented with a situation. All of these are reasons why it might be difficult for a student with autism to learn how to read. The first strategy that I reviewed is called Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS. By using PECS, students were shown how to successfully use pictures as a way of communicating responses to general tasks, as well as using them to increase social interaction. This study concluded that students were able to maintain picture reading 6 to 9 weeks after the study's completion, and the participants' level of independence, self-sufficiency, and their quality of lives had improved. A book was reviewed called A Land We Can Share, Teaching Literacy to Students with Autism. The question that was presented in this book is, what do people on the autistic spectrum say about themselves in terms of their own literacy development? The answer that the students themselves came up with are this: challenges are magnified by the misconceptions that come with the label of autism. Students with ASD express the fact that these misconceptions by lay people and professionals are their greatest barriers. Constructing effective teaching strategies for students with ASD. One must first consider factors that influence construction of meaning. One must also consider the cognitive processing style common in autism. Then, the third thing that a teacher must consider is the components of a balanced literacy approach. Adapted shared reading. This review article was about how to include students on the autistic spectrum into the shared reading group with the mainstream students. Rather than pull them aside during this time with the co-teacher, have them participate. These are some ways you can do that. First, consider visual supports, such as photographs, drawings, objects, written words, or lists. Then, possibly consider tactile objects. These could be anything from sensory mats to chew toys, sand, slime, or putty, pin art, rainmaker toys, fidget spinners, or even an electric dog pet. And third, another thing to consider is specific teaching strategies. Use simple, concrete language, give limited, clear choices, and be gentle in criticism. Task analysis. Task analysis is used to make complex tasks easier by breaking them up into smaller steps. This article reviewed whether or not task analysis was a good way to teach students on the spectrum how to read. First, we must determine the targeted behavior. Second, we must organize correct responses. Third, consider the lesson presentation. Fourth, consider the prompting techniques. Fifth, try and update the task analysis. In other words, focus on the individual student. And sixth, last but not least, you must collect data. Conclusion. This overall literature study of 5 articles, or 6, concluded that reading comprehension for students on the spectrum requires an in-depth understanding of the cognitive profiles of each individual student in one's care. However, addressing the cognitive profile alone does not necessarily lead to quality instruction. Teachers must also consider additional factors. The first factor to consider is connect with the student by learning their likes and dislikes and try to honor who that person is. For example, if the student has a fixation, show interest and respect for that fixation so the student can feel accepted, and this will lessen their anxiety. These fixations are a comfort and a coping mechanism for students with ASD. Second, provide interesting literacy topics that will create a desire for them to want to read. This not only applies to students with ASD, but any student must have one's interest sparked so that the reading does not feel like a chore. And third, break the reading tasks into smaller chunks so the student can identify, so the teacher can identify where the student is struggling and also assess the child in the process. And this will help with data collection and with lesson realignments. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my review of literature and have a great day. Bye.